Disclaimer. Humans, Brandon.
Yeah.
What's a species?
See, why you gonna try to put me on the spot with a word? It's a kind of thing on the planet. It's a species.
Okay. Is a feline a species?
A feline? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, a cat. Yes.
Is a dog a species?
Yeah.
Are human a species?
Yeah.
Can't you say we all animals?
Yeah. People say that. Yeah.
I'm taking this as the way of science, people.
Okay.
So don't try to ban us by this presentation. Okay?
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
So invasive species, that's an animal. Primates or Homo sapiens are animals too.
Yeah.
And fair use.
Massive vines that blanket the southern United States, climbing as high as 100 feet as they uproot trees and swallow buildings. A ravenous snake that is capable of devouring an alligator. Rabbit populations that eat themselves into starvation. These aren't horror movie concepts, they're real stories. But how could such situations exist in nature? All three are examples of invasive species, organisms harmful not because of what they are, but where they happen to be.
Now, Brandon,
the kudzu vine, for example.
Hold on, God Almighty. Now, you harmful for not who they are,
yeah,
but where they be.
Yeah,
that's one of the key words.
Massive vines that blanket the southern United States, climbing as high as 100 feet as they grow during the diet, but invasive exist in nature. All three are examples of invasive species, organisms harmful not because of what they are, but where they happen to be. The kudzu vine, for example, had grown quietly in its native East Asia, eaten by various insects and dying off during the cold winters. But its fortunes changed when it was imported into the southeastern United States for porch decoration and cattle feed. Its planting was even subsidized by the government to fight soil erosion. With sunny fields, a mild climate, and no natural predators in its new home, the vine grew uncontrollably until it became known as the plant that ate the South. Meanwhile, in Florida's Everglades, Burmese pythons, thought to have been released by pet owners, are the cause of decreasing populations of organisms. They're successfully outcompeting top predators, such as the alligator and panther, causing a significant reduction in their food sources. They're not a problem in their native Asia because diseases, parasites, and predators help to control their population size. And in Australia, European rabbits eat so many plants that they wipe out the food supply for themselves and other herbivores. They're a pretty recent addition, intentionally introduced to the continent because one man enjoyed hunting them. Like the Burmese pythons, various factors in their native habitat keep their numbers in control. But in Australia, the lack of predators and a climate perfect for year-long reproduction allows their populations to skyrocket. So why does this keep happening? Most of the world's ecosystems are the result of millennia of co-evolution by organisms, adapting to their environment and each other until a stable balance is reached. Healthy ecosystems maintain this balance via limiting factors, environmental conditions that restrict the size or range of a species. These include things like natural geography and climate, food availability, and the presence or absence of predators. For example, plant growth depends on levels of sunlight and soil nutrients. The amount of edible plants affects the population of herbivores, which in turn impacts the carnivores that feed on them. And a healthy predator population keeps the herbivores from becoming too numerous and devouring all the plants. But even minor changes in one factor can upset this balance, and the sudden introduction of non-native organisms can be a pretty major change. A species that is evolved in a separate habitat will be susceptible to different limiting factors, different predators, different energy sources, and different climates. If the new habitat's limiting factors fail to restrict the species' growth, it will continue to multiply, outcompeting native organisms for resources and disrupting the entire ecosystem. Species are sometimes introduced into new habitats through natural factors like storms, ocean currents, or climate shifts. The majority of invasive species, though, are introduced by humans. Often this happens unintentionally, as when the zebra mussel was accidentally brought to Lake Erie by cargo ships. But as people migrate around the world, we have also deliberately brought our plants and animals along, rarely considering the consequences. But now that we're learning more about the effects of invasive species on ecosystems, many governments closely monitor the transport of plants and animals and ban the imports of certain organisms. But could the species with the most drastic environmental impact be a group of primates who emerged from Africa to cover most of the world? Are we an invasive species?
All right, Brennan, they talked about invasive species.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we already said humans are a species, so we can view us as invasive.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Brandon, disclaimer. Can you read the third line down?
Not harmful for who they are, but where they are.
There you go. Now, Brandon, here is a wild boar.
Okay.
What you know about wild boars?
They can attack, I guess.
Okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
you can eat them, right? People don't necessarily
Yeah,
eat
you can eat them.
Okay. Have you had boar? Just for the record, have you had some boar meat?
No. I like my pork for Piggly Wiggly. Wild boar came over here by the Spaniards. When they was coming over here, they was trying to with the ships, and they let some pigs loose, and they turned to wild boar. Wild boar is really no animal that could really eat them in North America, especially on our side of the world. And they uproot a lot of plants and destroy
foliage
that cause runoff, and your soil will run off and it grows there.
I got you.
An exploding population of so-called super pigs in the prairies has U.S. officials raising alarms over their possible migration south. That's right, the wild pigs have caused havoc in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba since 2001, when the market for wild boar collapsed, prompting frustrated farmers to set the animals free. They're not native to North America. However, they threaten native species and cost billions in damage to agricultural crops. So states like Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana now say they are taking steps to stop what is being called a possible invasion. Some have banned raising and transporting the animal, while other states are ramping up monitoring efforts along the U.S.-Canada border.
Now, Brandon, what's that second picture of?
It's a fish, some kind of type of fish.
Now, with Brandon, me and Brandon went to Root Chris before. And Brandon wanted to order his favorite fish.
And what's that? Whiting?
On the menu, they had sea bass.
Okay. That's
red snapper.
Okay.
Flounder. Brandon looked up to the waiter and said, "Do y'all got some tilapia?" So this fish right here is a invasive species. It's tilapia. Brandon, you ate tilapia before, right?
I have. People thought it was healthy. Remember, it was when it first. Oh yeah, tilapia. That's good. Just bake it. Put some Mrs. Dash on it, and
they got healthy tilapia.
They do, but is that what most people selling?
No, it's called an invasive species. So you go down to Florida and fish in those rivers down there, you may catch some tilapia.
This is why tilapia are so invasive to South Florida. So right there is an adult tilapia, and the reason why they're so successful in being an invasive species here in South Florida is because the way they spawn. The way they grow, so tilapia to start off get to like 20 inches. They get big, and not only do they protect their fry, they're also non-discriminatory as far as eating goes. They'll literally eat anything in the canal. Proteins, plant fat matter, fish waste, literally whatever. So what ends up happening in a 200-foot canal such as this one, we are literally swarming with tilapia. All these fish right here that you see ducking out into the cover, those are all tilapia. There's actually a parent right there. You see all those fish right there, the little black dot swimming, those are actually tilapia. It is literally incredible how many spawns successfully reach this stage. More tilapia fry right down there. But all these fish right in these back spots right here, munching on grass, all of these fish right here, those are all tilapia.
Okay.
And tilapia, I believe, is an Asian fish. Okay. It does not belong over here.
Right, because this is not Asia.
This is not Asia. And just like, do China got a lot of babies, Brandon?
Yeah, they do.
A tilapia got a lot of babies
They
go
do.
along with it.
Right.
So they terrorize in Florida right now.
Mm.
All right. The second invasive species is a snakehead.
I got you.
Brandon, what that fish kind of look like?
It looks like part snake, part fish, but it's more reptile, like a lizard than a actual fish. So if it's in the wrong environment or habitat, I think it'll cause destruction or just, wreak havoc.
I say a snakehead. A snakehead is between an aggressive catfish and a pike.
And a pike? Okay.
Yeah. But however, this particular Asian fish could jump out of that water, walk
that's what I'm saying.
water.
Right. When it does stuff like that, and
if the water is close, it can make it to the other side. It'll walk over land to get to the other water source.
Right.
So this thing is like an aggressive catfish.
It's a migrating fish too. So
yes. Now a bass can't touch it. A brim can't touch it.
No.
A catfish can't touch it. A crabby can't touch it. This thing is the king and eating up everything.
Right.
And if the water get low, what it can do, Brandon?
Jump out and move somewhere else.
Jump out and try to walk somewhere else if it can make it.
Right.
Ain't no fish in America jumping out the water and walking off.
Right.
Except for the gar. Gar may do it a little bit, but no other fish.
The northern snakehead is a species that's native to Central Asia, but it is possible that it could one day become an invasive species here in Tennessee. So that's why we display them here, to give people a heads up that this is what this animal looks like and make them aware to keep an eye out for them. Snakeheads are voracious eaters, highly predaceous, and exhibit parental care, so they can reproduce multiple times a year. So they have the capability of having a population explosion and also competing with a lot of the similar sport fish in the area, which could have a negative impact at all layers of the food web. Snakeheads are very durable fish. They can survive the winters in the United States, and they're capable of only breathing air. They can be found in basically any environments, and they're very hardy fish. They're also very similar to a native fish that we do have in Tennessee, the bowfin. They look very similar, but bowfin have a spot on the end of one of their fins, so that's kind of how you tell them apart. If you do happen to see one in the wild, the best thing to do is just take a picture of it and notify your local wildlife agency.
Brandon, what we got here at the bottom?
We got some
Vatos. I say
it. We got some brown individuals that have mugshots. Because you did Spanish 3.
I tried to look that up on Alexa. Alexa said something else.
Okay.
But we got some Vatos down here.
Okay.
They are considered invasive species.
For sure.
Because it's nothing wrong with them,
mm-hmm.
but it is at the wrong place.
Okay. Fair enough.
Setting up robberies.
Right.
Tonight, a new most wanted list is live online on a Texas DPS website. 10 photos of who DPS says are the most dangerous criminal illegal immigrants. 5 are last known to have been in the Houston area, wanted for crimes like child molestation, murder, and rape.
But real quick, are we invasive too? Like, I guess it's and Europeans as well. They're not necessarily supposed to be here. It was some Native Americans that were here. I'm not saying that we not part of Native American. We don't have that in our blood, but can people say we're an invasive species group like they are?
All humans in North America and South America are invasive species.
Mm-hmm.
Those Native Americans walked over the Bering Strait to get here, Brandon.
Right.
So,
but what you're trying to say is we already established America and we're kind of at capacity. But
you just stop. You stop and wait till the presentation get going.
Go ahead.
All right, because he talk about a system. It's an established system that's been set up for 400 years, and it's changing a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Brandon. At the bottom, the watermelon. Those are invasive species too.
Okay, how so?
They working. They getting money.
Oh, okay.
What? The
watermelon. Okay.
Yeah, they're invasive species.
Correct.
Or if they ain't U.S. citizens, they invasive species.
Correct. I got some in my garden now, not watermelons, but a plant that's taken over, and I can't keep it under control fast enough just because it's spreading.
Okay. Yes. So Brandon got one. Now, what that video talked about is they successfully outcompete natives. A human will import invasive species, reproduction rapidly due to a lack of competition, and current ecosystem changes will have a negative effect. Now, Brandon, how long black people been in America?
A long time.
All right, who at the bottom of this list?
We are.
Who's above us?
Hispanics.
So will invasive species outcompete the native species?
Yeah.
And here's an example. All right, let me see. We got.
But why? Okay. Well, can you go back real quick? What? How do you feel when you see this as somebody black? You know, we're always at the bottom of these polls.
How is it supposed to feel? I don't feel no way.
But listen. But if you look online, it looks like all of us are doing great. We have money. There's a lot of black celebrities. You know, we don't necessarily need reparations. Everything is good. We're doing well for ourselves. And the Hispanics are the ones at the bottom because they're the ones working the labor jobs. They're working the black jobs, the brown jobs.
Brandon, I ain't never seen a black man in an F-250. I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Hispanic men in the F-250s.
For sure.
So who got the biggest truck, Brandon?
Well, we got Hellcats. Those
who got the biggest truck? Who's making the money? Who got the biggest truck?
Who have a truck that can be used for business purposes and make money?
Who got the biggest truck? Hispanic guys or black guys?
Or us or Hispanic people, for sure.
Okay. All right. Damn, Brady. Brady. Then who truck's bigger than the Spanish people?
Well, we're talking about like size-wise, but you know, it's not really the wonderful people or the Asian people. We're not necessarily we're in competition with them, but right now it's somebody fighting for the bottom.
No, we at the bottom. Ain't nobody fighting for the bottom. We at the
people don't think people don't think that though. But people don't think we at the bottom.
The picture.
Look online, Lewis. Who's living good? Who's living good? When you go to
Spanish people, they having parties once a month.
Okay, but who's that Root Chris? Who's that Root Chris? Is the Hispanic people at Root Chris? Who's at the Cheesecake Factory? That's living good. You can't be at the bottom and be at these fancy restaurants.
Brandon, don't act ignorant. You see who at the bottom.
I'm playing a role.
I know. We at the bottom. And ain't nobody fighting to be there. We fighting to keep our own self down here.
But that's a point that I think people need to realize. If you ask most black people, you think they think we at the bottom?
Probably not, because the only thing they see is black people.
Right. And we're a small population too, compared to others. And you sent me a stat today.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I read it. What it say? That's insane. For the last year, the Hispanic population has grown 74%.
71%. Within 2000.
1 year.
No, excuse me. No, stop.
Okay, go ahead.
The American population growth between 2022 and 2023, 71% of that growth was Hispanics.
Okay.
So 30% was white folks, black folks, Asians, but 71% of the growth. And what's gonna happen the year after that? That 71 is gonna get bigger.
Is it gonna multiply by 2? Maybe.
We don't know. We want to stay on this topic because I got something coming up out there. But you can see the invasive species will outcompete the natives. And we was at the top of Hispanics in the 80s. Now look at us. We at the bottom.